the forever gun. That is what we are looking at here. These revolvers prove that mechanical limitations are only for companies afraid to use enough steel. Durability isn't just about surviving a few seasons in the deer stand. It is about existing indefinitely. It proves that American manufacturing can still turn out hardware that is genuinely unbreakable. When you pass down a Super Redhawk to your grandkids, they aren't getting a worn-out relic. They are getting a firearm that is finally broken in. From the perfectly balanced Model 19 to the absolute tank that is the Super Redhawk, these aren't just purchases. They are investments in permanence. A well-built wheel gun never becomes obsolete. It just becomes family history. Drop down into the comments below and let me know. Which of these heavy-duty wheel guns are you planning to leave in the safe for your grandchildren? Do me a favor and smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the firearms that define American gun culture. Some guns might last you a lifetime, but these 7? They are going to last multiple lifetimes. Stay safe out there and I will see you on the range. Number 7. Ruger Redhawk. Let us kick things off with number 7, the Ruger Redhawk. You have to understand the mindset back in 1979. The top brass at Ruger gave their engineering team a brutal assignment. They needed a .44 Magnum revolver that could swallow the most violent hand loads on Earth. Day in and day out, without breaking a sweat. What they delivered was the Redhawk. A piece of machinery so vastly over-engineered that ammunition companies literally had to revise their warning labels. Just look closely at the cylinder walls on this beast. They are a full 40% thicker than standard specifications required at the time. If you examine the top strap on this frame, you will see it is bulkier than the receivers on a lot of modern bolt-action rifles. Ruger incorporated a brilliant single-spring mechanism, which effectively distributes the brutal recoil forces throughout that massive steel frame. This is not merely durable. It is practically apocalypse-proof. Up in the wilderness, you will see Alaskan bush guides packing Redhawks loaded up with 340-grain hard-cast lead bullets. Guys pressing their own ammo at the reloading bench are pushing these cylinders to near-rifle pressures. And even after crossing the 100,000-round threshold of absolute abuse, the cylinder timing remains flawlessly synced. Ruger did not just give us another .44 Magnum. They handed us a piece of man-portable artillery. If you are looking at the market today, a factory-fresh 5.5-inch .44 Magnum is going to run you roughly $900 to $1,050. Step up to the 7.5-inch Hunter configuration, and you are sitting between $950 and $1,100. And if you want the Super Redhawk variants chambered in .454 Castle, expect to hand over $1,000 to $1,200. This is the Magnum that eats nuclear pressure loads like they are soft-shooting target wad cutters. Number 6. Smith & Wesson Model 19. Rolling into number 6, we have the legendary Smith & Wesson Model 19. The story here is pure American gun culture. Bill Jordan was a famously tough Border Patrol gunfighter, and he marched into Smith & Wesson headquarters with a very specific problem to solve. He demanded a K-frame .357 Magnum. It had to be light enough so a cop could lug it around on a leather duty belt for a grueling 12-hour shift, but tough enough to decisively end a lethal threat. The resulting Model 19 Combat Magnum was nothing short of a masterpiece. It utterly flipped the script for mid-century law enforcement. The absolute magic of this revolver is the weight distribution, tipping the scales at just 35 ounces fully loaded. It sat on your hip like a standard .38 Special, but it struck targets with the vicious authority of a .357 Magnum. Smith & Wesson threw in a shrouded ejector rod to protect it from getting bent up in a street fight. They outfitted it with a wide target trigger and a wide hammer straight from the factory. And that vivid orange front ramp sight? It was a lifesaver for acquiring a sight picture in dirty, low-light alleys. If you are a serious collector, you are hunting for those early Model 19s with the pinned barrels and recessed cylinder chambers. Those tiny manufacturing details are what make gun nerds absolutely drool. When you grip a K-frame, it just melts into the human hand naturally. The center of gravity balances perfectly right at the trigger guard, making it feel less like a heavy block of steel and more like a surgeon's scalpel. State police agencies bought them by the truckload, federal agents staked their careers on them, and the guys shooting paper in competition completely dominated the circuit with them. Now, to be completely transparent, if you relentlessly feed a Model 19 a diet of ultra-lightweight, high-velocity .357 screamers, you risk eventually cracking the forcing cone. But if you run standard 38+ P ammo for your range sessions, these revolvers will basically live forever. Let's check the current market. Classic survivors from the 1960s and 70s command anywhere from $800 to $1,200. The highly desirable pre-lock models from the 1980s will set you back $700 to $900. And if you stumble across one of those ultra-rare 2.5-inch snubbies, prepare to drop $900 to $1,400. This is Bill Jordan's ultimate fighting concept, realized in blued steel. Number 5. Colt Trooper. Coming in at number 5. The Colt Trooper. Back in the day, the wealthy guys were endlessly drooling over the Colt Python. But the guys who actually worked for a living, they were putting their cash down on the Trooper. This was unequivocally the blue-collar Colt. It shared a tremendous amount of structural DNA with the Python, but it hit the dealer shelves at a fraction of the price. From 1953 all the way through the 1980s, Colt continuously upgraded the Trooper across several different marks, and every single iteration came out stronger than the last. when the Mark III hit the scene in 1969, Colt did something completely unorthodox. They ripped out the old guts and introduced a brand new coil spring action utilizing sintered iron components. The hardcore Colt traditionalists screamed that it was absolute heresy, but the proof was on the firing line. The cylinder timing locked up with mechanical perfection. The double-action trigger pull felt like greased glass. And unlike a safe Queen Python, you did not have to take out a second mortgage just to afford taking this gun out into the dirt. Colt took that iconic shrouded ejector rod design straight from the Python playbook. They slapped a solid rib on top of the barrel to give you a pristine sight picture, and they mounted adjustable sights that actually stayed zeroed under heavy recoil. This was Colt's way of proving that a gun doesn't have to be polished like a mirror to be a reliable workhorse. Highway patrolmen dragged these troopers through the mud. County sheriffs bet their badges on them, and hunters quickly realized these revolvers punched tags just as effectively as custom guns costing double. The trooper is hard proof that the prancing pony knew how to build an absolute tank. Looking at the used market today, a solid Mark III is going to run you between $600 and $900. The newer Mark V variants pull down roughly $700 to $1,000. And those early original 357 Troopers, they command anywhere from $800 to $1,300. This is Colt delivering top-tier performance on a working man's budget. Number 4. Smith v. Wesson Model 66. Let's look at number 4. The Smith & Wesson Model 66. If you take the phenomenal balance of the Model 19, and you forge the whole thing out of rugged stainless steel, you get the Model 66. This is the exact firearm that sent traditional blued police revolvers into retirement. When it debuted in 1970, it rapidly became the undisputed king of police duty holsters for the next 20 years. Moving to stainless steel was not some flashy cosmetic upgrade. It was about hardcore field survival. Downpours, buckets of sweat, corrosive salt spray, total maintenance neglect. This gun simply did not care. Marine patrol units aggressively sourced them. Law enforcement operating in swampy, humid climates begged for them. If you have ever had the misfortune of finding a blued gun rusted solid to the inside of a damp leather holster, you instantly respect what stainless brings to the table. Every critical internal spring and component is either made of stainless or heavily treated against corrosion. The forcing cone stands up to hot gas erosion significantly better than the older carbon steel models. And that beautiful brushed exterior? It hides standard kydex and leather wear far better than a blued finish ever could. The United States Coast Guard issued them out to boarding parties. Island cops made them mandatory issue. Because when you are completely isolated in the damp wilderness, and you desperately need that mechanical click to result in a loud bang, stainless construction is not a fancy option. It is mandatory for survival. On today's market, a clean 4-inch model will run you $750 to $900. The highly sought-after 2.5-inch combat configuration easily fetches $850 to $1,100. And if you want a slicked-up performance center model, you will be parting with $1,000 to $1,300. The Model 66 is the all-weather warrior of the revolver world. Number 3. Ruger GP100. Taking the number 3 spot, the mighty Ruger GP100. I remember the stories from 1985. Ruger announced they were discontinuing the beloved Security 6, and gun shop owners nearly had a heart attack. But then Ruger unboxed the replacement, the GP100. And the industry collectively realized that Ruger didn't just update their lineup, they engineered a masterpiece. This is a 357 Magnum that simply refuses to break. It features an incredible triple locking cylinder design. It secures firmly at the front, at the rear, and directly at the crane. You will not find another standard production wheel gun doing that. The massive solid frame utilizes slightly smaller window cuts to shave off a few ounces, but it sacrifices absolutely zero structural integrity in the process. Ruger implemented a genius peg-style grip mount that will never rattle loose under heavy fire. And let's talk about that investment cast frame. When it is poured and cured correctly, it is arguably more resilient than forged steel. And frankly, no one does casting better than the crew at Ruger. Their proprietary heat treatment process guarantees a perfectly uniform hardness throughout every millimeter of the gun. Plus, the entire trigger assembly drops out of the bottom as one cohesive unit for deep cleaning. I personally know heavy-volume competition shooters dumping 50,000 rounds a year through their GP100s. Armored truck companies buy them in bulk because the firearm will easily outlast the career of the guard wearing it. You physically cannot shoot this revolver out of timing. The action just gets butter smooth over time. Market rates are steady. A standard 4-inch barrel sits around $750 to $850. The 6-inch target configurations will run you $800 to $950, and the highly tuned Match Champion editions command $900 to $1,100. Ruger built this thing to be immortal, and they nailed it. Number 2. Smith v. Wesson Model 29. Sliding into the number 2 position, the Smith & Wesson Model 29, the most powerful handgun in the world. When Clint Eastwood deadpanned that famous phrase in 1971, the Model 29 was already a respected heavyweight among serious backcountry shooters. But after Dirty Harry hit the big screen, the gun ascended into mythical status. Yet, if you strip away all the Hollywood glitz, you are left with a staggering piece of mechanical engineering. Smith & Wesson's massive end frame had already cut its teeth pushing .44 Special and .45 AC downrange for decades. Beefing it up to handle the ferocious 44 Magnum simply required superior steel alloys and microscopic tolerances. If you look at the early production runs, they featured beautifully recessed cylinder chambers. It was a completely unnecessary machining step, but it looked incredibly premium. They threw in the wide target hammer and a grooved trigger right in the box. During R&D, Smith engineers tortured these prototypes with extreme proof loads, pressures that would have literally turned cheaper guns into shrapnel. They pushed thousands of rounds through single test frames, dialing in the heat treatment until the steel could comfortably absorb forces that defy logic. Professional handgun hunters have put food on the table for decades using the Model 29. Long-range steel shooters use them to smash metal targets at 200 meters, and despite what the internet tells you, the recoil pulse is surprisingly smooth if your grip fundamentals are sound. This isn't a sloppy brute, it is a finely tuned instrument of destruction. Let's talk pricing. A vintage pre-lock 4-inch gun will demand $1,200 to $1,800 today. The iconic 6.5-inch profile brings in $1,000 to $1,500, and those massive 8 3/8-inch hunting barrels reach $1,100 to $1,600. If you find one draped in that gorgeous factory nickel finish, go ahead and tack on another $200 to $400. This is the legend that put the 44 Magnum on the map. Number 1. Ruger Super Redhawk. But when we talk about the number 1 spot, we aren't talking about movie magic or collector appeal. We are talking about raw, unadulterated, indestructible performance. This is a revolver so absurdly overbuilt that the guys whose job it is to destroy guns for a living just gave up trying. It makes heavy-duty wheel guns look delicate by comparison. Brace yourself. At number 1, the Ruger Super Redhawk. When Ruger unleashed the Super Redhawk back in 1987, they basically threw the engineering rulebook out the window. They asked themselves, what if we built a handgun cylinder that could withstand centerfire rifle pressures? What if the only metric we cared about was sheer survivability? Just look at the snout on this frame. The steel literally extends forward past the cylinder face. This gives you an incredibly rigid barrel lockup and provides integral scope mounting points milled directly into the chassis. There are no flimsy screws to back out, no scope bases to rattle loose when the gun bucks. The frame itself is your mounting solution. Inside, it runs a dual-spring mechanism that absolutely refuses to bind up. The crane holding the cylinder is thicker than the actual barrels on some concealed carry guns, and the cylinder diameter matches what you'd find on a rifle. Calling it overbuilt is an insult. It exists in its own weight class, and here is the undisputed truth about why it takes the crown. When commercial ammo manufacturers need to test dangerous proof loads, they clamp a Super Redhawk into the testing vise. Why? Because it is virtually impossible to blow up. Cartridges that would severely fracture a Model 29 just make the Super Redhawk clear its throat. If you chamber this beast in 454 Castle, you are generating 65,000 psi in the chamber. That is literal rifle pressure contained in your bare hands. The muzzle flash escaping the cylinder gap is violent enough to ignite cardboard from a yard away. Managing that kind of recoil requires a completely different stance and mindset. Yet, the Super Redhawk absorbs that punishment like a stroll in the park. When a wealthy client wings a charging grizzly bear in the dense Alaskan brush, this is the exact sidearm the professional guide draws to finish the fight. When hunters track wounded Cape buffalo in Africa, this rides on their hip for worst-case scenarios, not simply because it hits like a freight train, but because under maximum stress, it will absolutely never fail. Here is the wildest part. Gunsmiths have inspected Super Redhawks with 200,000 rounds of Magnum loads on the odometer, and the gun still functions identically to the day it left the factory. Zero-cylinder end shake, perfect rotational timing. Zero erosion on the forcing cone. It defies the laws of mechanical wear. While standard revolvers support the cylinder in 2 places, the Super Redhawk locks it down at the front, the rear, and the bottom. Harmonic stress that would normally spiderweb and crack a standard frame is safely dispersed throughout this gigantic block of ordnance steel, and the caliber options are absolutely devastating. The 44 Magnum is considered the training wheel caliber on this platform. You can step up to 454 Castle, the massive 480 Ruger, or even 10mm auto. If you drop a quality optic into those integral rings, you can print groups at distances that will make your buddy with a lever-action rifle pack up and go home. I am talking sub-2-inch clusters at 100 yards. This is not a handgun trying to do a rifle's job. It flawlessly executes both. On the market, a standard 7.5-inch 44 Magnum runs about $950 to $1,100. The 454 Castle models grab $1,050 to $1,250. And if you want that notoriously aggressive 2.5-inch Alaskan snub nose in 454, prepare to spend $1,100 to $1,400, assuming you can even find one in stock. I have a piece of history resting on the shooting bench in front of me right now. It rolled off the factory floor way back in 1963. 3 generations of trigger pullers have trusted their lives to this exact piece of steel, and let me shoot you straight. The cylinder lockup on this battle-hardened wheel gun feels significantly tighter than the vast majority of those polymer-framed Mimpart wonders they are stamping out today. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into 7 heavy-duty revolvers that were engineered with one singular purpose: to absolutely outlast the person pulling the trigger. We are talking about the kind of handguns that just laugh off high round counts. These are heirloom-grade firearms that your great-grandchildren will still be banging steel with, long after we have all clocked out for good. And our top pick? It is built so incredibly thick that range officers joke it would easily survive ground zero of a nuclear blast. So settle in, because we are looking at permanent anchors for your gun safe.